think I'd have seen more homes with tarpaulins on the roof or damaged roofs than there are homes with roofs that were not damaged. Oh, it's a hell of a thing, man. And this is months later, so you can imagine in the immediate aftermath how it looked. People are resilient, and through their representatives and, of course, through their own endeavor, they are working to get their lives back on even keel. Back to this matter now. I see Mona Smith in the chat saying, you know, George, there's a difference between recording on your phone and using your phone. Yes, Mona, I agree. And I have no problem with someone using their mobile phone in the parliament. Absolutely not. Happy you raised that argument so I could point that out. Not a problem. In this day and age, you can't have a cabinet minister or an MP sitting in the house for 2, 3, 5, 7 hours on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Friday or even a committee meeting that goes long and be cut off from their mobile phone. That would be like punishment. So yeah, man, of course, use your phone, not a problem. What I'm calling out is what I see, like people are recording themselves. I hear that people were going live. It's ridiculous. So I'm talking about that aspect of it, Mona. Not people using their phone, sending messages. Not at all. I mean, as journalists, it's been a long time we have been messaging people inside the chamber, whichever party is in power, whoever is opposition, to ask for clarity on certain things, and we get a little text message response. So yeah. So that's not the issue. And I know that there's a certain parliamentarian who either has made themselves the pantomime villain of what I'm calling parliamentary indecency, or has been cast as such by people watching the parliament. And it's not just about the conduct of that parliamentarian alone. And on that point, may I say that, look, you know, we're quick to write off people, you know. And how do I say this? All right, let me say it the way I'm thinking it. As someone who was once young, like we were and all that, I understand very much that when you're young, you're going to do some foolishness, you know. You're going to make mistakes. And if you're young and you achieve some form of success, and getting voted into the House of Representatives is success. Yeah, it is success. And people say, well, if you get voted in traditional so-and-so seat, it don't mean nothing. I reject that argument. Because people have lost traditional seats. So to get voted into the House of Representatives, it's a credit to you. And it is success. And when young people achieve success and want to make an impression, foolishness can follow. And there's another F that describes what can happen, but it's not fit for your play. But use your imagination. Starts with F and it ends with Y. It has a C and a K in it and a R. I'll leave it there. Yeah? Nora, some of you stop. Thank you, Nora. But when you're young, you're prone to these kinds of things. We must not be quick to write people off like that. There must be some room for counseling, guidance, and advice. And no person cast as or playing the role of parliamentary villain or parliamentary pantomime villain is beyond correction, is beyond redemption. And I want to say two things with that point as the pivot. Having spent some time reading again the standing orders for the House and looking at various related things in what they call the Bible of Parliament in the Westminster system, Erskine, there is more than enough merit in the argument that our standing orders need to be amended to reflect the modern realities of Parliament. And I don't think, like some people, that the amendments that are needed are far-reaching. We don't need a revolution. You just need some changes. And there are many things that our Parliament does right. One of the things our Parliament doesn't do right is to govern their own procedures that dictate how they do the business in either house. And I say that because there was an article written by Balford Henry in The Observer leading up to the 2016 election, calling attention to a Senate committee, a standing orders committee that had met 28 times after a motion was moved by then Senator Arthur Williams to change the standing orders. 28 meetings from 2012 to 2016. We're in 2026 now. You show me where there have been a set of changes agreed on and implemented. So our legislators get bogged down on the Tuesday with very important business. I'm not disputing that. But then in the committees that they have to discuss these changes, recommend these changes, and then to see that the changes are implemented. No, and they meet 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 and they go and meet until thy kingdom come. No changes. That's one. So I say that to say that I believe that changes are needed to reflect the modern reality. The second thing I think that is necessary. Orette Bruce Golding is alive and well. Percival James Patterson is alive and well. Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller is with us, but there are some challenges, all right? There are other senior politicians retired from the game, alive and well. Saw John Jr. in the supermarket recently, and he was walking with the aid of a stick. But man still look strong same way and still look the same way. John Jr. as health minister when I just started high school, and I don't think he looks older than he did then. And apart from the walking stick, I thought myself with John Jr. bathing at the fountain of youth. But anyway, the point I'm making is this. I believe now is the time for a council of retired parliamentarians to get the leader of the House, in the, leader of government business in the House, leader of the House, in both chambers, to simplify. The opposition representative, meet with them. In fact, how I do it, I'd ask for a meeting of the joint houses of Parliament. Bring everybody together. Have a general conversation about the quorum and rules and following the rules, obeying the speaker. You notice I use the word obey. I know words. So I could have choose any other word. Instead of obey, I'm using obey for a reason. Obey the rulings of the speaker. And then after you have that general session, you pull the House leaders in both chambers on both sides of the aisle with the speaker and her team. And you have another intense discussion. And you agree on a way, a path, that the rules as they are will be obeyed. Where consistency in the granting of leeway is clear. So, grant leeway here, but in the same circumstance on that side you don't grant the leeway, so that somebody can say, but boy, you're unfair, you're not being balanced. So the group of elder parliamentarians Lead that discussion. Have the minds meet. I hate that phrase, but can't do it better right now. Have the minds meet. Have a way of how you're going to do business of Parliament going forward. And let us move, because I'm telling you, it can't continue. And if you think it's a stretch, I'm saying to you, listen, you know, being a licensed firearm holder gives you a certain level of confidence, regular men, it's mostly men, regular men who would hear something and relax, hear something and get heated because I have a gun. And oftentimes he gets heated at someone who don't have a gun. Really do you see man with gun get heated at man with gun? Yeah? But it's always a man with a gun hyping on a man who don't have a gun. And in the sense of our parliamentarians, so you have gun, you have CPO with gun. You might see a parliamentarian on the other side who you probably think already know that he's not a licensed firearm holder. He just might say something and you just fly across the aisle and box him. It is not something that is far-fetched given where we are going, and do we want that? Is that what it will take for Golding, Patterson and others to offer to broker peace between the parliamentarians, to set out an approach that will see the Speaker's rulings being respected? And to remind Madam Speaker that, Madam Speaker, your job is hard enough because, and you have to be a consistent, you apply everything. And it's hard, but it's possible. Have that conversation. Will it take something like that for that to happen? I'm saying it does not have to, because it hasn't happened yet. So make a note. On this day in sports, Noragay Banton, Thursday, June 25 at 10:30 a.m., I, through this program and this radio station and the company that owns this radio station, calling on our senior parliamentarians, see if you can take the aggro out of the parliamentary relations. The youngsters that are errant in their ways and seem hell-bent on destroying themselves and the parliament, don't write them off. Talk to them. Counsel them. They are not beyond redemption. Those who are openly disrespecting the Speaker. See, you wake up and you put on your makeup and say, how me can this that girl today? What do we need to do to act to cause someone to not harbor those thoughts anymore? Because it seems as if some people go there and that's how they prepare. They're prepared to go to the parliament. And I feel even bad verbalizing what I think the thought is, because I feel like I'm disrespecting the institution of the House, of the Speaker of the House of Parliament if I'm verbalizing that. That's how bad that is to me. And while you're at it, senior parliamentarians who I'm calling on this morning, you need to act now, because this thing about, the people of so and so sent me here. Newsflash. Every single one of UNO in the House of Representatives was sent there by constituents in a constituency. So the fact of your constituent sending you there doesn't give you any special allowance above anybody else. Stop saying it. And stop using it as a pivot point to be disrespectful and disorderly. I feel like, as Golding said years ago when he was Prime Minister, Bruce, as if I'm spitting in the wind. And I never knew I'd live to see the time when my parliament is replete with bad behaving people who know better. That's the tragedy of it, The people know better. But you have a kind of leadership in parts of the parliament that is weak. What the pastor one did said, Nora, jelly back? Yeah, man, weak. Some leaders in the parliament, like them left them balls at home. Them they carry it to garden house. So they can't impose any authority, any leadership. And if they can't, then elder parliamentarians, draw them together and give them a basis to bring them balls to the parliament with them when they go on a Tuesday or when they go to committee meeting. Break time. For you to call names, people who don't watch parliament would not know what you are talking about. No, Courtney. No, man. Listen, you see, thankfully for me, I've done some what I consider to be good things, both in the sporting arena and where the news is concerned. I'm comfortable. Never been afraid, never will be. If it ends today, I'm a happy camper. I've tested myself at the highest level, and I've proven to myself that I belong at the highest level. So, and if the worst come to the worst, Courtney, I can raise chicken in a brother, yeah, and raise hog. So, yeah, I can care for race sauce. So there must be something for me to do. So if all this goes, I have no problem. That's why I'm not afraid to speak to authority. However, the reason I highlighted your point is this. Calling names, and I see a lot of you attaching titles to some people in the parliament who you believe are responsible for the degradation of standards and conduct. It's not useful, you know. It's not useful. Rather than condemn them, it is to ask for them to look in the mirror, self-reflect, and to ask for them to be helped. Because we want the situation to be better. Condemning the people not going to help. So I don't know. You know who may attack. Why you don't write the name in the chat? You understand? But you accuse me of, come on now. That is not me saying you want, not helping. I want to help. So even my commentary has been mild, well, I believe. Because I don't want people to feel as if I am attacking them. What I want people to feel is that I care enough about the situation to ask for them to be helped. That's my mission, Courtney. So understand it for what it is. Never scared, brother. Never. Absolutely never. All right. That's that. And I hope that we can agree that as a country we deserve better from our parliamentarians and that we demand better. And for people who've raised teenagers now, and I have one teenager who's very well behaved, so I don't have the problems certainly that I gave when I was a teenager. If you have young people dealing with and you speak to them in an aggressive manner, you put them down. It's hard for you get compliance from them, you know. So it is better you try a soft approach as you try to help. And maybe it'll come to a point in a Courtney where rather than hugging, you may have to beat somebody with a belt buckle. You know what I mean? That may have to happen. Yeah? Anyway,